What if I told you about a black lottery winner who spent $21 million bailing out her boyfriend 3 times while people watched in disbelief? Another person manifested having exactly $112 million through visualization, and then ended up winning this exact amount in the lottery. Well, these are just a few glimpses of the stories we're about to tell you, as we embark on this jaw-dropping countdown of the 10 richest black lottery winners ever. Stick around, because the #1 story on this list is so mind-boggling that you'll end up screaming. Number 10. Martin Jr. King, $29 million. Martin Jr. King won $29.1 million in Lotto America back in 1989, which sounds modest compared to modern jackpots until you remember that's nearly $75 million in today's money. Before winning, Martin's life was a grind. Divorced with 5 adult children, he worked as a satellite dish repairman until getting laid off in 1982. Then took whatever jobs he could find, sometimes making just $10 a day to survive. So when that lottery money hit, his entire world flipped overnight. But Martin didn't do what most people fantasize about with sudden wealth. No private island escape, no disappearing to Monaco, and no cutting off everyone he knew. He stayed right in his suburban St. Louis neighborhood, living among the same people who knew him before the money. Though he did try escaping attention briefly by visiting family in Wisconsin, which turned out to be a terrible idea. Everyone in Wisconsin knew he was now a millionaire and approached him constantly asking for money or pitching business ideas. That's where Martin learned one of the hardest lessons about sudden wealth. Money makes you famous whether you like it or not, and privacy becomes impossible to buy at any price. Martin bought practical things with his winnings, a new van, a boat, and planned to build a house in Mississippi for his family. No reckless shopping sprees, no blowing millions on useless purchases. But he learned fast that money fundamentally changes how people treat you. A house he wanted jumped from $110,000 to $169,000 the moment sellers knew he was rich. Old acquaintances crawled out of the woodwork, and even an ex from the 1960s started calling again. Martin handled it smartly, though, telling the press he wasn't about to be taken advantage of and refused to let anyone rewrite their role in his life just because he had millions in the bank. But while Martin stayed grounded with his money despite everyone changing, here's what happens when you win $35 million at just 19 years old. That you with your first lottery ticket ever. Number 9. Jonathan Vargas, $35 million. Jonathan Vargas was just 19 years old in 2008 when he won $35.3 million in Powerball. And here's the wild part. It was his first time ever buying a lottery ticket. Most people play for years, decades even, spending thousands without winning anything. Vargas walked into a store as a teenager, bought 1 ticket, and became a multimillionaire before he could legally order a drink. The story gets weirder from there. Vargas claimed he heard a voice in his head telling him which numbers to pick, which sounds completely unbelievable except those numbers hit perfectly. Most were deeply personal, siblings' ages, his mom's birthday, numbers that meant something to his family. But the Powerball number was pure intuition, a random guess that somehow turned out exactly right. Call it luck, divine intervention, or whatever makes sense to you, but that voice made him $35 million richer overnight. The whole town of Gaston, South Carolina went crazy when word got out. Everyone suddenly had advice for the local teenager who'd just become a multimillionaire. Invest wisely, people told him. Take care of your family, they said. Don't blow it all at once, they warned. And to his credit, Vargas actually listened. He planned to invest portions smartly, donate generously to his church, set up trust funds for his siblings, and bought his mom a new house. Remarkably responsible moves for a teenager suddenly controlling generational wealth. But after handling press conferences and financial advisors, you know what Vargas did first when he got home? Played video games. Because even with $35 million in the bank and a transformed future, he was still just a 19-year-old kid figuring out life. That detail is somehow the most relatable part. Sudden wealth doesn't automatically make you a different person. Vargas won $35 million at 19 and went home to play video games. That's wholesome indeed. But what about a nursing home housekeeper who won $37 million and her immediate response was wanting everyone to leave her alone? Number 8. Gloria McKenzie, $37.4 million. Gloria McKenzie was a 26-year-old nursing home housekeeper in Central Florida making barely $13,000 a year when she won $37.4 million in March 1992. At first, winning seemed like the dream come true every lottery player fantasizes about. But in just a few days, it became painfully clear that Gloria's biggest wish wasn't to spend her fortune on mansions and cars. It was simply to be left alone. Before the win, Gloria lived an incredibly quiet life, playing the lottery occasionally without much luck. Then one Saturday, her world turned upside down when she discovered she was holding the winning ticket. News spread at lightning speed, and by the next morning her front yard was packed with reporters, neighbors, and random well-wishers. Things got so chaotic that police had to escort her family to Tallahassee just to claim the prize safely. Her own family made things worse. At the lottery press conference, relatives started listing luxury cars they wanted like they were placing orders at a dealership. Within hours, car salesmen showed up at her home, hoping for massive commissions. Gloria had enough. By the following Friday, she announced she was done with press and left town entirely. She bought herself a new house in a private location, bought one for her sister, quit her job, and reportedly donated to local churches, though pastors refused to confirm to protect her privacy. But Gloria's biggest concern was safety. She pulled her child out of daycare fearing kidnapping for ransom. Since then, Gloria has remained a complete mystery for over 3 decades. She refuses interviews, her family won't talk, and if anyone leaks her whereabouts, they're cut off. She won $37 million, but all she really wanted was peace. Gloria won $37 million and vanished into privacy. Smart move given the chaos. But our next lottery winner went on to win $49 million and used it to restore a piece of history while funding college scholarships. Number 7. Brian and Barbara Woods, $49 million. Brian and Barbara Woods won $49 million in the Texas lottery in July 2003, and their story represents one of the healthier lottery winner sagas you'll ever come across. The funny part is they didn't even know they'd won at first, and a family member called saying the winning ticket was sold at the same store where they regularly bought theirs. That's when Brian checked their numbers and realized their lives had changed forever. First move after confirming the win? Both quit their jobs immediately. Brian walked away from his diesel mechanic career. Barbara turned in her keys at the corner store, and they chose the annuity option. $2.5 million up front plus nearly $2 million per year for 24 years. That's steady cash flow rather than one lump sum that's easier to blow through. Here's where the Woods get interesting. Brian spent $60,000 buying the historic TP Motel in Texas, dating back to 1942, then dropped $1.6 million into serious renovations. This wasn't some random real estate flip. Brian genuinely wanted to preserve an authentic piece of Texas history that might have been demolished otherwise. He transformed those retro teepee-shaped structures into something worth experiencing rather than tearing them down for profit. The Woods also announced plans to fund college scholarships for local students, using their windfall to help young people build better futures. No Lamborghinis, no private jets, no mansion flexing, just thoughtful community investment and historical preservation. They proved lottery money doesn't have to destroy your values or disconnect you from the community that shaped you. The Woods used $49 million to restore history and invest in education. Genuinely wholesome. But what about a Rikers Island prison guard who accidentally bought the wrong lottery ticket and won $54 million anyway? Number 6. Gina Fenton, $54 million. Gina Fenton's entire lottery story is wild, specifically because she won completely by accident through what should have been a mistake. Born in Jamaica, Fenton experienced homelessness as a child, struggled for years as a single mother in New York, and worked one of the toughest jobs imaginable, corrections officer at Rikers Island, where she'd been both robbed and assaulted while on duty. In 2010, Fenton walked into a store intending to buy a Powerball ticket like usual, but grabbed a Mega Millions ticket by mistake. Instead of exchanging it, she just shoved it in her bag without looking and forgot about it for days. At work, a coworker was reading lottery numbers from the newspaper, and Fenton suddenly remembered she had a ticket. She pulled it out and started checking. They matched. Every single number lined up perfectly. She'd won $54 million with the wrong ticket she'd bought by accident. She took the lump sum, $33 million after taxes, and immediately knew where to start, helping her mother back in Jamaica, who was blind in one eye and struggling with medical care. After years of barely surviving herself, Fenton finally had resources to give her mom better quality of life. As for her job at Rikers, she wasn't sure about returning. Winning made her a visible target, and working in prison while being publicly wealthy seemed dangerous. She took leave and told reporters she'd decide later if returning made sense. Long-lost acquaintances started calling, some genuine, others transparently hunting for money. But Fenton had worked corrections long enough to read people accurately. She told reporters the accidentally purchased wrong ticket was the best mistake of her entire life, proving sometimes the universe has better plans than you do. Fenton won $54 million by complete accident. Pure cosmic luck, right? But wait until hear about the guy who spent years deliberately visualizing winning exactly $112 million and then it actually happened. Number 5. Cynthia Stafford, $112 million. Cynthia Stafford won $112 million in California Mega Millions in 2007. But here's what makes her story fascinating. She'd already been visualizing that exact specific amount for years before it happened. This wasn't vague positive thinking. Stafford wrote down $112 million repeatedly, imagined it vividly, and truly believed it would manifest. Then one day, it did exactly as she'd visualized. Before winning, Stafford's life was challenging. She was raising 5 children by herself, her late brother's kids who she'd taken in, while working as an account executive and struggling financially. Money was tight, but she refused to give up on her dreams or manifestation practice. When she finally won, she didn't hold back. She bought a beautiful house, donated generously to charities, and even launched a film production company because why not chase more dreams with $112 million backing you? Her story became famous in manifestation circles as supposed proof that visualization works, though skeptics point out millions visualize winning without ever hitting jackpots. She took the lump sum, roughly $45 million after taxes, and reportedly split portions with family members. Her incredible generosity was admirable, but eventually became a serious problem. Stafford gave away so much to family, friends, and charitable causes that she later filed for bankruptcy despite winning $112 million. Her story is simultaneously inspiring and cautionary. Manifestation might work to attract opportunities, but managing wealth requires way more than positive thinking. It requires saying no, protecting assets, and understanding that generosity without limits leads to total depletion. Stafford manifested $112 million, then gave it away until she went bankrupt. Now, let's talk about a single mom who won $188 million and spent $21 million bailing out her boyfriend 3 separate times. Number 4. Marie Holmes, $188 million. Marie Holmes was a 26-year-old single mother of 4 children, one with cerebral palsy, working double shifts at both Walmart and McDonald's just to barely make ends meet when she won $188 million in North Carolina Powerball on her birthday in 2015. She took the lump sum and kept $88 million after taxes, instantly transforming from struggling paycheck to paycheck to controlling generational wealth. But here's where her story gets messy and made national headlines. Holmes spent approximately $21 million bailing out her boyfriend Lamar McDowell from jail. Not once, not twice, 3 separate times. McDowell had been locked up since 2014 on drug trafficking and weapons charges, and every time Holmes posted bail and got him released, he violated pretrial terms. Each violation doubled his bail, and Holmes kept paying without hesitation. On top of $21 million in bail, she spent over $1.4 million in non-refundable bondsman fees. Money evaporated with nothing to show except her boyfriend's temporary freedom that he kept squandering. Critics absolutely tore Holmes apart. People couldn't believe she was spending millions on someone who clearly didn't deserve it, and everyone could see she was being used. But Holmes didn't care what anyone thought. "My money, my choice," she said defiantly. She also bought houses, set up college funds for her kids, and donated to her church, trying to balance caring for people she loved with building stability. Holmes's story proves money can change your life, but can't fix toxic relationships built on manipulation and bad decisions. Eventually, things got messier. Holmes was sued by her own pastor, and McDowell himself filed legal action demanding more money. The people closest to lottery winners often become the biggest threats to their wealth. Holmes spent $21 million on bail, while critics watched in disbelief. That's heartbreaking. But what about a retired reverend who won $260 million and refused to let wealth change his character? Number 3. Reverend Solomon Jackson Jr. $260 million. Reverend Solomon Jackson Jr. was a retired South Carolina state employee in 2009, living a peaceful post-retirement life after working as an assistant supervisor for the Department of Revenue. He'd taken early retirement in 2000, gone back to school at Midlands Technical College, and was pastoring at New Shiloh Baptist Church when he bought a $2 Powerball ticket that transformed into $260 million, the largest lottery prize in South Carolina history at the time. Jackson wasn't expecting to win that day. He just liked knowing his lottery money helped fund education programs. Instead of contributing a couple dollars, he hit the absolute jackpot. He was given 2 options: take the lump sum of $130 million after taxes, or receive yearly payments over 30 years. Jackson chose the lump sum for immediate control over his fortune. Unlike most winners who broadcast elaborate spending plans, Jackson kept his intentions remarkably private and humble. He didn't reveal detailed strategies, didn't go on shopping sprees, didn't start flaunting his wealth. What he did do spoke volumes about his character. Jackson donated $10 million to Morris College, a historically black college in Sumter, South Carolina, the largest one-time individual donation in the school's entire history. When asked about his plans, Jackson's response was simple but powerful. "God has blessed me, so I won't do much with it personally, but somebody is going to be blessed." That philosophy of stewardship rather than consumption guided his entire approach. He viewed the win not as a chance to indulge every desire, but as a responsibility to help institutions and people who genuinely needed resources. Jackson's story represents the healthier side of lottery wins: taking the money, expressing gratitude, giving back strategically, and refusing to let sudden wealth change core values or humble character built over decades. Jackson won $260 million and donated $10 million to education. Absolutely legendary. But what about a postal worker who played the same numbers for 25 straight years before hitting $344 million? Number 2. Robert Bailey, $344 million. Robert Bailey is a retired New York government employee who played the exact same Powerball numbers faithfully for over 25 years straight without ever winning anything significant. And then, in 2018, at age 67, his absolutely relentless persistence finally paid off in the biggest way. He won $344 million, the largest jackpot in New York lottery history at the time, proving that consistency can eventually overcome astronomical odds. Bailey received those specific numbers from a family member when he was in his early 50s and committed to playing them religiously without ever changing them. Week after week, year after year, decade after decade, he worked as a U.S. Postal Service machine operator and bought tickets with those same numbers, never winning anything substantial, but never giving up or switching combinations. 25 years of buying tickets, 25 years of losing, and then suddenly, every single number matched perfectly, and Robert Bailey was $344 million richer because he'd refused to quit. He chose the lump sum and walked away with $115 million after taxes. Here's what separates Bailey from many winners. His first move wasn't buying cars or houses. It was contacting a lawyer and financial planner immediately to avoid the devastating pitfalls that destroy most lottery winners. Smart, calculated, careful thinking from someone patient enough to play the same numbers for a quarter century. His stated plans were remarkably practical: travel to places he'd always wanted to see, invest wisely for long-term growth, and buy a comfortable home for his mother. No Lamborghinis on Instagram, no mansion headlines, no private jets. Just a man who waited 25 years for his numbers to hit, then handled his windfall with the same discipline and patience that got him there in the first place. Bailey won $344 million solo after 25 years of patience. But his prize still falls shy of our number one entry, a family who didn't just hit a massive jackpot, but transformed it into a community movement that's still actively changing lives today. Number 1. The Smith family, $429 million. The Smith family from Trenton, New Jersey hit the absolutely staggering $429.6 million Powerball jackpot in May 2016, making it one of the largest lottery wins in entire U.S. history and the biggest collective win by a black family ever recorded. The winners were 70-year-old matriarch Pearlie Mae Smith and her 7 adult children, and unlike the vast majority of lottery winners who disappear into private luxury, the Smiths had a radically different vision for their sudden wealth. They chose to take the lump sum payout of $284 million rather than yearly installments, and their very first priority was systematically paying off mortgages, crushing student loans, and eliminating financial burdens, not just for immediate family, but strategically thinking about their entire extended family's path to generational wealth building. After taxes and distribution, each of the 7 children walked away with roughly $25 million individually, more than enough for any person to live comfortably forever without working. But the Smith family's vision extended way beyond just personal comfort and individual wealth. The Smiths created the Smith Family Foundation with a crystal-clear mission focused on education access, neighborhood development, and supporting young people in need throughout their community. This wasn't some tax scheme. They were genuinely committed to using their windfall to create lasting positive change. In just their first year as multimillionaires, the Smith Family Foundation spent an absolutely impressive $16 million actively fighting poverty through strategic initiatives, putting serious money into comprehensive scholarships, youth services, community development projects, and educational programs designed to create long-term systemic change rather than just temporary handouts. Of course, long-lost friends and distant relatives immediately started calling the moment news broke. The oldest daughter, Valerie Arthur, joked to reporters that she was bracing for it, especially from people she genuinely hadn't heard from in years, who suddenly remembered they were close family. The second millions were involved. But through all the inevitable noise and attention-seeking, the Smith family remained incredibly focused on their mission, rooted deeply in faith and community service. They didn't let sudden wealth distract them from core values or transform them into different people. What makes the Smith family's story genuinely remarkable isn't just the $429 million jackpot itself, it's what they deliberately chose to do with it. They proved definitively that winning the lottery can genuinely be a blessing for entire communities when the winners have a clear vision, strong values, and a deep commitment to something bigger than personal consumption. The Smiths took their jackpot and transformed it into a foundation that's now actively changing communities, funding education for kids who couldn't afford college, and creating opportunities that will ripple forward for generations. And that's a wrap on 10 black lottery winners who had some insane encounters with luck, winning prizes ranging from $29 million all the way up to $429 million. Their wildly different stories prove that sudden wealth either reveals your true character or completely destroys it depending on who you are underneath. Which of these stories fascinated you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And for more such amazing peeks into the lives of rich black individuals, take a look at Black Status.